Well, hello there, back again. It's been a little while. Okay, so a little while ago I did a video where I wrote out a gym program and I talked a little bit about some of my fitness goals for this year. It's 12 weeks later now, so it's time to review that program and make some adjustments. So thought I'd share that process with you along with a bit of a progress update from the last 12 weeks. Spoiler alert, there's some 12A only scams content for all my gym bros. Stay tuned. Right, so way back in January I started going back into the gym. I was doing full body workouts using machines. That was a program that was set for me by the personal trainers at the gym as part of my induction. And I stuck with that for 3 or 4 weeks, and then once I felt like I'd got back into the swing of things, got my mojo back, got a bit of strength back, I transitioned back to using barbells and doing more compound lifts and general free weight work. And that's been it for about the last 12 weeks. In the last video I did, I wrote down 3 different variations of the program I was going to do to suit how many times per week I'd get to the gym. And the vast majority of that time, what I found is I was using that 2-day split that I put into that video. 2 days a week was kind of the frequency that worked the best with work and family life and everything like that. And so it's the one I could maintain the most easily. I managed to get there 3 days, 1 week, and that's when I'd taken some time off work. So yeah, that's a bit of a non-starter. There was, I want to say 2, but it might have been 3 weeks where I had to do the 1-day split because whatever was going on that week, I could only get there once a week. So yeah, for the bulk of the last 12 weeks, it's been the 2-day split. So that's kind of what I'm going to focus the updated program on, is getting there twice a week. And I think I'm at a stage now where if it's more or less, I can make the adjustments on the fly. I've stuck to the program that I wrote pretty religiously. Occasionally I've dropped an exercise or a set if I've been pressed for time, but more often than not, it's been a case that I've swapped an exercise for something else based on time, pressure and availability of whatever it is I wanted to use. For example, doing a cable row instead of a lat pull down. So still working the same sort of body area, the same muscle group, but just doing a different exercise. I don't like standing, waiting for people to finish their work. No, I don't like it when people do it to me. I don't like doing it to other people. I also don't like just standing there and sort of your heart rate settling down, and just it feels like wasted time to me. So I don't like doing that. So I'd rather just pick a different exercise and carry on with the workout. So for the main push-pull squat exercises, and that's kind of the focus point of the program I put together, is push-pull squat movements. I've increased my numbers pretty steadily. It's been quite good to see those numbers on the bar going up. So I'm squatting 70 kilos for 4 sets of 8 reps consistently. Same deadlifting, 70 kilos, 4 sets of 8 reps pretty consistently. And I'm benching 55 kilos for 4 sets of 8 reps. I can probably push myself a little bit harder, and that's something I need to try and focus on sort of going forwards into the next cycle. I've also been watching loads of different content about training for muscle growth and hypertrophy, and that's kind of where I want to get to this time around. It's kind of going to be more of my focus rather than strength. So it's sort of focusing on the slow eccentric movements and getting a really deep stretch through a full range of motion. Generally what that means is you have to have a lighter weight on the bar. You've got to take your ego out of it, not worry about how heavy you're lifting, but focus on, are you going through a full range of motion? Are you going slowly on that eccentric and stretching the muscle group that you're trying to target? So that's sort of one of the reasons I've not sort of forced an increase in the weights that I'm lifting, even though I probably could a little bit. I've just been focusing on other stuff instead. Bench press in general, it's always been my weakest lift. I don't really love the bench press. It's a good exercise, great for chest growth. I just don't particularly enjoy it. I struggle to feel strong when I'm bench pressing. And because I train on my own, I also think it's the highest risk lift that I do. So I generally don't push myself to failure and be as progressive in adding weight to the bar. because when I've got no one to spot me, I can't push myself to failure. I don't want to be that guy that gets trapped under the bar and has to be rescued. My other exercises that I've been doing, so the likes of the preacher curls and lat pull downs, stuff like that. It's been a bit more variability in the weights that I've been using, because I've been concentrating on the actual movements again. So playing around with different rep ranges for what works best for that exercise. So whether I'm doing an incline bench with dumbbells, trying to do more reps, so I've lowered the weight, things like that. Again, it's come from the stuff I've been learning about muscle growth rather than strength. So there's been a bit more variability there. Overall though, I'm really happy with the progress that I've made, and I'm really happy with how my physique is starting to develop. It took me a really long time to build up the courage to take photos of myself in the gym, so I haven't actually got any of me before I started the working out, to compare against sort of pre-going to the gym and now. But I've definitely gained weight and I've definitely gained muscle, just take my word for it. What I will say though about these pictures is they're not a true reflection. So they're all taken in the changing rooms of the gym straight after my workout. So I've got a pump and I'm also flexing. So it's not how I look when I'm walking around. Also don't worry, the changing room's completely empty. I was on my own. I do not have the stones to take photos of my physique in front of other fellas in the gym. Not happening. These photos are strictly just for you guys and very occasionally for my wife. I'm kidding. It's zero times it's worked. Don't get jacked to impress your partner, guys. Let's move on. Okay, so before I move on to the next 12 weeks and some of the changes that I'm going to make going forwards, I want to talk a little bit about diet. It's something I struggle with quite a lot, but we all know sort of diet is about 80% of the battle when you're trying to make physical improvements in the gym. So I've got an autoimmune condition which affects my stomach, and that's got a few different impacts on my training. So the first one is it's a protein losing condition. It means I don't absorb protein very well, I leak it through. That's not great for weight gain. I really struggle to put on weight, but I don't have to think about it and weight will fall off me. That's a problem for me. It's something I struggle with mentally and sort of struggle with just trying to make gains in the gym as well. It's a constant battle. It means I can build muscle really easily and I can stay lean really easily. As you can see from the pictures, I am lean because there's not a lot of weight on me. But it has got its downsides. I'm skin and bones most of the time. And I really struggle to change that around. Also, protein is the building blocks of muscle. So when you've got a condition that's losing protein, that makes it really difficult to build muscle. I've got to throw the kitchen sink of protein at myself, really increase how much protein I'm taking to build muscle, and that's not easy to do. I don't always have the best appetite. Protein is very satiating, so just struggle to consume a lot sometimes. I'm a normal person, my whole life doesn't revolve around going to the gym and building muscle. So I don't have the time or the inclination to be eating 5 meals a day of high protein. What I do find though is with this condition and with the stuff I've just been talking about, when I do get into a routine of training and exercising and going to the gym, it's like my body creates a demand. So I always seem to feel more hungry and be able to put more weight on more easily when I'm going to the gym. So if I've fallen off the wagon and I'm not training, I can eat as much as I like, my weight just won't really move. When I'm exercising, it's like my muscles are creating a demand, so that protein's being directed, which that's cool, but that's why it's really important to me to train and to go to the gym. I do take supplements, so I take protein and creatine most days, but not always. Definitely, if I've been to the gym or done an exercise session, I will have a shake. I was using a hard gainer protein powder for a while that was packed with calories, loads of protein, loads of carbs, again to try and build muscle and put weight on. I found though it gave me a bit of an upset stomach and it was filling me up. I didn't feel like eating real food for a lot of the day after I'd had it, so it just didn't feel like the right kind of trade-off. So I've switched to a protein isolate, which got bugger all calories, bugger all carbs and less protein. It sits a little bit better with me, definitely a lot easier to drink. But I'll come into my next point. I'm currently having a flare of the stomach condition, so that means I get really bad acid reflux, particularly during and after meals. So that's been going on for like the last few weeks, so it means I'm struggling to get my calories in. I don't feel like finishing a meal. I get full very quickly. I'm always kind of conscious, if I keep eating, I'm going to be in trouble. I need to not overstuff myself, otherwise I'm just going to end up throwing it all back up, and that's not somewhere I want to be. That has psychological impact as well. It kind of weighs on my mind that I'm not eating enough. Then if I do throw up, I feel like I've just lost the whole day's worth of gains and calories, and I'll never be the same again, and I catastrophise a lot about that. So when I'm having one of these flares, it really is quite difficult for me to get through all that kind of stuff. It also affects what food I eat when my stomach's flaring up. A lot of the things that I'd eat normally, they tend to trigger the acid or make me feel sick or just make me sick straight away. So I have to think a little bit less about what I eat and focus more on actually eating and just eating enough so that I'm not hungry and that I've had a lot of calories. It means my diet isn't the healthiest. It's not as healthy as I want it to be. I'd end up doing a lot of snacking and just sort of a lot more highly processed food rather than whole foods. Not all the time, but just a lot of the time. That's not ideal, and I'm hoping that once I get onto the other side of this flare, then and I'm feeling more myself, and I haven't got to worry about any of that, and I feel normal again, I can really focus on my diet and zero that in to be a good, healthy diet, and that will help contribute toward the progress I'm trying to make in the gym. Right then, my programme for the next 12 weeks, to be honest, is pretty much exactly the same. I've made a couple of tweaks which focus a little bit more on specific muscle groups, but on the whole, the movements are basically the same. So yeah, I'm focusing a little bit more on hypertrophy rather than the strength for the next few weeks. Couple of reasons. I'm not as interested in being really strong at the moment. I'd like to just look bigger and be bigger. Strength is still important, but it's sort of a secondary to being bigger. I'm also going on holiday in a couple of months. Want to look good on holiday, not gonna lie. So the main changes I'm gonna make are I'm gonna do stiff-legged deadlifts instead of conventional deadlifts. That's just mainly just to vary things up. Deadlifts take a long time to set up, take a long time to do, take a long time to recover from, and then you occasionally have that feeling once you finish a set where the lights are gonna go off and I'm gonna hit the deck. So I'm just switching it up to stiff-legged deadlifts, a little bit quicker to do. I can't lift as heavy, so I won't have as much warm-up requirement for the first few weeks, and it focuses a little bit more on the hams and the glutes than a conventional deadlift, which targets the whole posterior chain a little bit more. The other change I'm going to switch from is doing low bar squats to high bar squats. Again, just to focus the movement a little bit more on my quads, target my quads, get sort of thicker thighs. I don't like high bar squats, I like low bar squatting. It's what I'm comfortable with, it's what I'm familiar with. I've got a really bony, sticky out C7 vertebra, the one that sticks out at the top of your back of your neck. So I've always found that high bar squats sit really uncomfortably on that bone, and I'm uncomfortable through the lift, or I lift the bar up a lot with my arms and I'm supporting the weight with my arms rather than with my back to be comfortable through the lift, but then obviously I don't feel as stable, can't lift as heavy. So I'm gonna try the high bar squatting for a few weeks, see how it goes, but I'll potentially switch back to low bar squatting if it turns out that I'm just not enjoying it. If I'm not looking forward to doing squats and I'm not enjoying the actual lifts, I'll switch back to what I know and love. Other than that, all of the exercises are going to remain pretty much the same. I'll be playing around with things like grip width to see which gives me the better stretch, and yeah, trying to build that mind-muscle connection a little bit more and focus on muscles. I'm going to include some cable lateral raises more regularly just to hit my side delts because they've not been getting much love. Everything else I do, all the benching and the pulling, that hits my front and back delts fine. I don't need to do any additional work for those, I don't feel like. But my side delts, I just want to add in some specific work to target those, just to get a more rounded shoulder, get that capped shoulder. So yeah, that's where I'm up to. That's what's going to happen over the next few weeks. just thought I'd share it with you. If you've enjoyed this, please like and subscribe, and yeah, please leave a comment. It'd be great to get your thoughts on anything I've discussed.